I really love reading books. And so in today's video, I'm going to be talking about books that have changed my life and that will probably change yours too. If you've been following me for a while, you might know that I love reading, always have, and I keep talking about books that I'm currently reading on my Insta stories, and a lot of people DM me and ask me for my book recommendations and ask me to do a video about that. I wasn't sure people would be interested in watching it honestly, but I put up a poll on my Insta stories asking you guys, and a lot of people were interested in this video, so here it is. Before we start, we have an amazing sponsor for today's video, an app that I've personally been using for a while now and that I've spoken about in the past as well, Storytel. So Storytel is an audiobook app having over 1 lakh audiobooks and ebooks in 6 different languages like English, Hindi, Marathi and Bengali. I've been a big time Kindle user and I still am, but lately I've been loving audiobooks as well, especially because I can listen to a book while I'm out for a walk or on a long rickshaw ride, and basically during times when I have to multitask. Storytel has books across different categories like fiction, crime, biographies, economy and business, and my favorites, non-fiction and personal development. You have the option of saving these books offline as well, which is so useful for me when I'm traveling, especially to remote places without any internet. You can also control the speed of narration on the app as per your convenience. And another awesome feature is the sleep timer, which comes in handy if you're listening to an audiobook to put you to sleep at night. So yeah, overall Storytel is great and pretty easy to use. You can have unlimited access to all the books on Storytel for just Rs 299 per month. They normally offer a 14-day free trial, but I have a special link for you guys in my description box below, and if you click on that, you can get a 30-day free trial instead. So if you love books, definitely try out this app for free and see if you like it. And now let's get started with my book recommendations. So the 5 books I'm going to be talking about are all in the personal development non-fiction space, and they've really impacted me in huge ways, and the title of this video isn't some kind of clickbait. So here are 5 books that have literally changed my life. The first book on my list is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I've read it at least 5 times if not more, and I keep going back to it when I need some inspiration or a boost to my creativity. So this book is all about ideas and creativity, how inspiration strikes and how to bring your ideas to life. Creating something and putting it out there is a very scary thing to do, and this book guides you through the process of doing that. Having said that, I don't think this book is just for artists and creative types and people pursuing creative professions. This book is great for everyone, and I think at the end of the day we're all creating something irrespective of our professions. This book says that we all have treasures hidden within us waiting for us to discover them, and that requires a lot of courage, so this book helps you with that. So normally when I'm reading a book, I make note of all the things that I've learned from that book. So I'm going to share a couple of things that I've learned from Big Magic, though there are a ton of lessons. The first lesson is that laziness and perfectionism are the biggest enemies of creativity. So I feel like a lot of us think that being a perfectionist is a good thing. In job interviews, we say that's our strength, and like a lot of people play it as a good thing, but it's actually a negative thing because it's just fear in disguise and it's stopping you from doing things you want to be doing. And I have sailed the same boat as well, so this really struck a chord with me. So instead of being lazy and a perfectionist, this book asks you to be a disciplined half-ass. So that does not mean you don't give it your best and do bad work, but what it means is just give it your all and let it go. Don't let the fear of it not being perfect stop you from doing something. And I think that was a very big lesson for me because there were so many things that I wasn't doing because I felt like I couldn't do the best job of it and it wouldn't be perfect, but we all have to start somewhere. Another lesson from this book is that you need to be prepared to eat your shit sandwich. So what this means is that every passion comes with something that's not so great about it. For example, for actors, it could be having to audition and facing a lot of rejection. For YouTubers, maybe it's not getting enough views on your videos or having to face the awkwardness of vlogging in public. And if you're not prepared to handle that or embrace that, then that is not the right thing for you. So I always keep reminding myself whenever I'm complaining about anything related to my work, I just remind myself that as much as I love doing YouTube, of course there are some bad things about it as well, like very long hours of editing and Yeah, it just gets stressful sometimes, but every passion comes with its shit sandwich and you just have to be prepared to eat it. This book is very easy to read and I love Elizabeth Gilbert's writing style. I mean, just the way she forms her sentences, she communicates such simple thoughts so beautifully and I love that. I literally just started rereading this book like 4 days ago and I love how positive and motivating and inspiring it is. So if you haven't read this book, I think you really should. But moving on to the next book now. The second book that I think you should read is You Are a Badass: How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life by Jen Sincero, which sort of sums up what this book is about. I've read this book about 3 times and when I first read this book, I was in a place in my life where I was very confused. I was working at a job, which was my last job by the way, and while I didn't hate that job, I didn't particularly love it either. I was gonna apply to B schools and I was very confused about that as well, and I also felt like I wasn't good enough, so I had a lot of these conflicting thoughts in my head, and that's when I came across this book and I can't even tell you how much this has helped me. This book helps you change your perception about a lot of things, helps you find your passion, change your reality and really live the life that you want. Jen's style of writing is also very casual and funny and she also swears a bit throughout the book. So if you're not someone who's into self-help books, Jen was sort of like that as well and she really addresses that topic quite nicely in this book. So within a few months of reading this book, I quit my job, I decided not to go to B school, I decided to do YouTube instead full-time, and here I am. And while I can't give full credit to this book, I definitely feel like this book played a huge part in getting me to where I am today. Jen also has another book called You Are a Badass at Making Money, which I also love. So I think we all want to make more money, but somehow we have these deep-rooted negative beliefs about money which is stopping us from making more money, and I think most of these beliefs were ingrained in us when we were kids. One belief that I had was that you have to work very hard to make money, and while I do believe that that is true, in my head it felt like you couldn't be making money doing something you enjoy doing. So I love my job, I have so much fun doing what I'm doing, and most of the times my work doesn't end up seeming like work even though a lot of effort and time is put into it. So because of that, I felt like I didn't deserve to be making money doing this, and that's how I felt for the longest time. So reading this book definitely helped me with a lot of issues I had about money. Moving on to the next book. The next book that had a huge impact on me is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. This is such a simple and easy book, yet so powerful and so impactful. So the 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And I feel like these 4 rules can be applied to every possible scenario in life. For example, there are times when I get stressed about the quality of my work and whether it's good enough or not. And then I remind myself of the 4th agreement, always do your best. So what they mean by that is do the best you can in the moment with the resources you have available. So in my case with my videos, maybe if I had better equipment or if I had more time to edit these videos, I could do a better job. But since I don't have that, all I can do is the best that I can with what I do have available, and I think that's a very nice lesson to remember. I feel like with these books you have to keep reading them over and over again for these points to sit in your head because they're so simple, but we're just so not used to following these things in our lives. We didn't grow up that way. So yeah, I have to keep reminding myself of these things because I'm also guilty of not following them all the time. But I think these are very good lessons to remember, and this is a very nice book to read. The next book on my list is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Now I read this book recently on a friend's recommendation. This book says that 60 to 70% of the things we do in our everyday lives are just run on autopilot, which means that we're just doing these things every day because we're in the habit of doing them, and all habits can be changed. I think we all have a bunch of habits that we think define us. For example, a lot of people, including myself, think that we're not morning people, but the truth is that just means that we're in the habit of waking up late, and all habits can be changed and can be worked upon, and that's what this book primarily talks about. So compared to the other books that I've mentioned in this video, this is slightly longer and a bit more difficult to read. I wouldn't say it's difficult as such, but compared to the other books it is a little bit, and it also has a lot of case studies and is a bit more scientific, if that's the right word. But I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. So I actually read this book on Storytel. I started reading it on my Kindle, but like I said, it's a very long book, so I ended up listening to the audiobook instead, and I really loved the experience. I usually end up listening to audiobooks when I'm taking a walk or at the airport or on a long flight, which I've been doing a lot lately. And I think it's just really nice to be able to multitask, listen to a book, and just be productive in general when you're doing other mundane activities, because it feels like a good use of my time. And there's just something about closing my eyes and listening to a podcast or an audiobook on a flight that just relaxes me so much. But anyway, coming back to the book says that every habit has 3 parts. So every habit is triggered by a cue, which then leads to a routine, and every routine culminates in a reward. So cue, routine, and reward are the 3 parts of every habit, and all habits are only triggered by cues, so you want to avoid them as much as possible. And if you want to change a habit, you have to change the routine, and this book explains that process very well. This book also talks about keystone habits, and if you don't know what that means, a keystone habit is basically one good habit that leads to the development of other good habits. So for example, for a lot of people, working out is a keystone habit. So when you work out, you automatically end up eating healthier, sleeping better, being more productive. So that's one keystone habit. Another one is waking up early, which I'm trying to work on right now, because when you wake up early, you again end up being more productive. Somehow, I just feel like it makes you end up forming a lot of other good habits as well. So yeah, this book talks about that, and if you really want to change some bad habits of yours and form new ones, this is the book you have to read. Another book which is sort of similar to this is Atomic Habits, which I've also read, but I think I like The Power of Habit better. The last book I'm going to talk about in this video is The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, which I've spoken about in my morning routine video as well, but in case you missed that, let me explain what this book is about. So this book talks about how important it is to have a morning routine, and how what you do in the morning really sets the tone for the rest of your day. So the book also suggests a morning routine which has an acronym, SAVERS. So silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. These are the 6 things the book says you should do every morning. I've been trying to practice this every day, and on the days that I do end up doing this, I can tell what a difference it makes and how well my day goes. So if you want to know more about this, you can watch my morning routine video where I've spoken about this in detail. I'll leave a card over here for you to check it out. So that was my list of books that have changed my life. Of course, there are a lot more books that I've read that have really impacted me as well, but since this is the first time I'm making a book-related video, I didn't want to bombard you with too many books. But if you like this and would like me to do book-related videos once in a while, let me know. If you've read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video, comment and let me know, and leave your book recommendations for me as well. I'd love to hear from you guys and discover new books to read, so let's chat in the comments below. Don't forget to check out the link in my description if you want to try out Storytel and get a 30-day free trial. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, press the bell button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!